Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every human life when the world goes silent, when the voices that once cheered for you suddenly disappear, when the people you thought would stand beside you step back, and in that silence you face a choice: become the victim of doubt or become the architect of your own rebirth. You see, when no one believes in you, that's not a curse, it's a gift. It's the universe handing you the pen and saying, write your own story, because greatness is never built in comfort, applause, or approval. Greatness is forged in the lonely hours, the moments where no one sees you grinding, healing, learning, preparing. Maybe they've counted you out. Maybe they've labeled you, judged you, dismissed you. Good, because now you're free from expectation, free from limitation, free to become someone stronger, sharper, unstoppable. You don't rebuild yourself by waiting for permission. You rebuild by deciding right now that your future will not be controlled by the disbelief of others, that their doubt becomes your fuel, that their silence becomes your soundtrack. This is not about proving them wrong. This is about proving how you right. So tonight, this message is for the fighters, the dreamers, the quiet warriors who are tired of waiting for belief to come from the outside. You already have everything you need inside. All you have to do is rise. Because when the world finally sees you shine, they'll think you came out of nowhere, but you'll know the truth. You rebuilt yourself when no one was watching. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where legends are born. When the world goes quiet and people stop cheering, something powerful happens inside you. That silence, which can feel cold and unfamiliar, becomes fertile ground for discovery. At first, it may feel painful. You might question your worth, replay conversations, and wonder why those who once supported you have stepped back. But this discomfort is not a punishment. It is an invitation. When others stop filling your ears with opinions and expectations, you finally have space to hear your own voice. That voice may be faint at first, buried under years of doubt and noise, but with time, it grows stronger. Silence forces you to confront yourself, to ask deeper questions, and to develop clarity about who you are without anyone else's influence. Many people never get this opportunity because they are always surrounded by praise or criticism. But you standing alone are given the chance to learn what you truly believe in. In this quiet, you begin separating your dreams from someone else's dreams for you. You start identifying your strengths, not because they were validated by others, but because you feel them awakening within. You discover passions you overlooked, talents you suppressed, and resilience you didn't know you possessed. Without the constant pressure to perform for someone else's approval, growth happens in a genuine way. It's similar to a seed buried in darkness, unseen by the world. It pushes quietly through soil, building the strength needed to break the surface. If everyone witnessed your struggle, they might interfere, judge, or limit you. Alone, you can experiment, fail, adjust, and rise without anyone labeling you. Silence also teaches humility and patience. You learn to trust the process instead of rushing for applause. You develop discipline because no one else is holding you accountable. You build confidence not because people clap, but because you prove things to yourself. This internal validation becomes far more powerful than any compliment. It is stable, unshakable, and cannot be taken away. When no one tells you good job, you learn to applaud your own gradual progress. When no one motivates you, you learn to ignite your own fire. This is where true independence is born. There comes a point when you begin to realize that the people who disappeared were not supposed to accompany you into your next chapter. They served their purpose, and now their absence becomes a signal to grow beyond your old limitations. Instead of resenting the silence, you start appreciating the space it gives you. It's in this space that creativity emerges, that dreams are refined, and that your identity becomes crystal clear. You become comfortable with solitude and begin enjoying your own company. You learn that loneliness is merely the doorway to self-awareness, and then something extraordinary happens. You evolve. Slowly, quietly, consistently, the person you were no longer fits the person you're becoming. You feel your mindset shift. You set higher standards. You attract new opportunities, not because someone recommended you, but because your energy transforms. People eventually return, surprised by your growth, but they miss the most important part, the rebuilding phase. They never saw the countless hours of self-reflection, the small improvements, the battles you fought silently. When silence turns into opportunity, pain becomes purpose, and doubt becomes direction. You emerge with a clearer mission and stronger character. And when applause eventually arrives, it won't define you. You'll smile, appreciate it, but you will no longer depend on it. Because the deepest discovery you made in that quiet space was that everything you ever needed to rebuild was already inside you. When you find yourself in a season where no one believes in you, it's natural to crave validation. We are wired to seek approval, to feel seen, to know we matter. But true belief, the kind that moves mountains and transforms lives, cannot be gifted by anyone else. It has to be built from the inside out. External validation is temporary. It disappears the moment circumstances change. But internal belief becomes a fire that never goes out. When you learn to trust yourself without applause, without recognition, and without reassurance, you become unstoppable. It's not easy. It requires courage to look in the mirror and say, I'm enough, especially when others can't see your potential. But internal belief is the foundation of every breakthrough. It shapes your decisions, fuels your discipline, and strengthens your resilience. The journey begins with self-awareness. You must recognize your limiting beliefs, the quiet, hidden thoughts that whisper you're not capable or worthy. These thoughts didn't appear overnight. They were planted through criticism, comparison, and fear. Rebuilding belief means uprooting those seeds and replacing them with empowering truths. You start by acknowledging your strengths, no matter how small, and celebrating progress others cannot see. It might be waking up earlier, making a commitment, studying longer, or trying again after failure. These small victories reinforce your identity and silently whisper, I can do this. Slowly, your belief becomes independent of external approval. When you rely too much on others to believe in you, you hand away your power. Their mood, their opinions, and their limited perspective control your confidence. But when belief originates internally, no rejection, no doubt, no criticism can take it away. Think of every successful person you admire. Their stories are filled with moments where no one understood their vision. They weren't believed in, yet they continued. They saw something in themselves the world couldn't see yet. And that's the key. Internal belief allows you to operate from the future, not from your current environment. You begin acting like the person you are becoming, not the person others assume you are. Internal belief also strengthens your emotional resilience. When you face failure, and you will, you don't crumble. Instead, you learn, you adjust, you grow. People who depend on external validation often quit the moment things get tough because the applause stops. But when your confidence is self-generated, you can endure seasons of doubt and hardship without losing your identity. Your belief becomes a shield that protects your energy and focus. You start seeing challenges as opportunities to prove your potential, not as threats to your ego. Every dream begins silently inside someone's heart long before the world recognizes it. Belief is the fuel that carries you through that private, quiet phase. It teaches discipline. Discipline trains your mind to follow through even when motivation fades. Consistency becomes easier because you're no longer performing for approval. You're building a legacy for yourself. Eventually, internal belief shapes your habits, and habits shape your destiny. You begin surrounding yourself with better influences, investing in self-growth, and making decisions aligned with who you want to become. And then something remarkable happens. External validation begins to show up naturally. People start noticing your energy, your progress, your confidence. But by that time, you no longer depend on it. You appreciate the recognition, but it doesn't define you because you know who you are. You know what you're capable of, and you know you can rise alone if you have to. Belief that starts from within is unshakable. It's a quiet strength, not loud approval. When you build that inner fire, nothing can extinguish it. Not criticism, not rejection, not silence. And when you stand strong, fully rooted in your own belief, the world eventually adjusts to match the vision you already accepted for yourself. Rebuilding yourself is not an overnight transformation. It's not a motivational quote or a dramatic breakthrough moment. It's a daily battle, commitment to doing the work even when no one is watching, even when the results are invisible, and even when doubt hovers in the back of your mind. Discipline is the backbone of this journey. It's waking up early when you don't feel like it, taking small actions toward your goals, studying when others sleep, and choosing growth over comfort. Most people quit because they wait to feel motivated. But motivation is emotional. It rises and falls. Discipline is spiritual. It stays when nothing else does. When you choose discipline, you choose to honor your future self more than your current comfort. Every disciplined action is a vote for the person you want to become, and over time, those votes reshape your identity. Consistency is what transforms discipline into progress. You cannot rebuild yourself with occasional effort. It requires repetition. Think of a sculptor working on a block of marble. One hit with the chisel does nothing. 10 hits barely show a mark, but thousands of precise, consistent strikes shape the masterpiece. The same is true with your habits, thoughts, and actions. You won't notice the change at first. Others won't notice either. But consistency compounds. Suddenly, the habits you struggle with become natural. The weaknesses others mock slowly turn into strengths. Consistency takes ordinary actions and makes them extraordinary. It's easy to be motivated for a day. But true transformation happens when you show up on day 100, day 300, day 1,000, long after others have abandoned their goals. But discipline and consistency alone are not enough without emotional resilience. The path of rebuilding is filled with setbacks, criticism, failure, and self-doubt. Most people say they want success, but what they truly want is success without struggle. Rebuilding means accepting that struggle is a part of growth. Emotional resilience is your ability to stay grounded when life storms around you. It's staying calm when expectations fail, pushing forward when plans fall apart, and believing in your ability to adapt. Resilience teaches you that failure is not a reflection of your worth. It's feedback. It's data. It's a lesson wrapped in disappointment. Each failure breaks off another piece of who you are and shapes who you're becoming. As you rebuild, you will notice moments where the old version of you will try to pull you back. Habits, people, environments, and temptations will try to remind you who you used to be. This is where emotional resilience stands guard. It allows you to say no when your mind wants to give up. It helps you walk away from relationships that drain you, opportunities that distract you, and comfort that blinds you. Rebuilding yourself means letting parts of your old identity die so that your new identity can breathe. People around you might not understand your journey. They may question your changes, joke about your discipline, or doubt your consistency. This is part of the process, not because they're bad people, but because your growth exposes their stagnation. This is where discipline protects your momentum. When the world becomes loud with opinions, discipline whispers, keep going. When results are slow, consistency reminds you why you started. And when emotions collapse under pressure, resilience lifts you back to your feet. Eventually, something shifts. You begin to trust yourself in a deeper way. Confidence is born from the evidence of your own actions. You stop hoping things will change and realize you're capable of changing them. You learn patience because the journey matters more than the applause at the end. The person you are becoming starts to feel natural, not forced. Your identity evolves step by step, day by day. And when you look back, you will realize something profound. No one could rebuild you except you. No cheer, no belief from others, no external push could have created what discipline, consistency, and resilience built from within. This realization becomes your superpower. Because once you learn how to rebuild yourself, you will never fear being broken again. Isolation is often misunderstood. People fear it because they associate being alone with being empty, rejected, or unloved. But isolation, when used correctly, becomes one of the most powerful environments for personal growth. When you step away from the noise of the world, you free yourself from opinions, distractions, and expectations that constantly pull you in different directions. In solitude, your vision becomes sharper. You can see where you're headed without the fog of outside influence. And while others rely on external validation to decide who they are, isolation grants you the rare opportunity to build identity from the foundation of truth, not approval. In isolation, you realize how much energy you were giving away before trying to please people, explaining yourself, defending your decisions, fitting into labels others designed for you. When you are alone, all of that fades. There are no performances, no masks, no pressure. You're left face to face with yourself, your strengths, weaknesses, dreams, fears, and potential. At first, it's uncomfortable. Silence is loud. It forces reflection. But that reflection becomes your greatest weapon. You begin to understand what truly matters to you and what simply took up space in your life. You start recognizing habits that held you back, relationships that drained you, and beliefs that never belonged to you. This clarity is priceless. Many people spend their entire lives running from themselves. They distract their minds with constant noise, filling every moment with entertainment, gossip, or validation because the silence exposes truths they'd rather ignore. But when you choose isolation intentionally, you confront those truths head-on. You discover your values. You redefine your goals. You begin building a vision not based on trends, opinions, or fear, but based on authenticity. The identity you forge in isolation becomes solid, unshakable, because it was created without external influence. As your vision strengthens, your identity follows. You begin noticing subtle shifts. You care less about being understood and more about being aligned. You prioritize growth over popularity, purpose over approval, and longevity over instant gratification. Suddenly, the things you once chased no longer impress you. The people you once tried to please no longer have authority over your self-worth. This shift is liberating. It's like shedding a heavy skin you never realized you were carrying. Isolation also teaches you independence. You learn to motivate yourself, validate yourself, and celebrate yourself. When no one is clapping, you clap for your effort anyway. When no one is cheering, you continue because your fire does not depend on spectators. You stop waiting for someone else to believe in you because you've discovered the belief within. And once you reach that point, your confidence becomes internal, not fragile, not borrowed, not temporary. Another beautiful part of isolation is that it filters your environment. When you pull back, you naturally lose connections that were built on convenience rather than depth. People who were around only when you were entertaining, pleasing, or benefiting them slowly disappear. You start recognizing who values you for who you are, not what you provide. This minimalism of relationships makes room for genuine connections later. Isolation is also where discipline thrives. Without distraction, you gain control over your time and focus. You read more. You study more. You reflect more. You sharpen your skills. You set goals and make progress quietly without the pressure of being watched. Growth in silence becomes power that eventually speaks for itself. It's the reason why people suddenly look at you one day and say, "You've changed," but they didn't see the hundreds of days you spent alone, developing the mindset and character they now admire. And perhaps the greatest gift of isolation is self-respect. When you spend time with yourself, you learn to appreciate your own company. You no longer fear being alone because loneliness transforms into solitude. Solitude becomes strength. Strength becomes identity. When you eventually step back into the world, you're different, not because others built you, but because you built yourself when no one was there to help. Isolation sharpens vision. Vision strengthens identity. Identity fuels purpose. And purpose turns you into someone unstoppable. When people doubt you, it's easy to shrink. It's easy to absorb their disbelief and let it become your truth. But what many never learn is that doubt can be transformed into one of the most powerful fuels for growth. When someone says you can't do something, you're given two choices: accept their limitation or turn it into momentum. Human beings are naturally driven by challenge. The moment someone tells you that you're not capable, there's a spark inside that whispers, watch me. That spark, when nurtured, becomes relentless fire. But you must learn to convert negativity, criticism, and rejection into energy rather than discouragement. Every time someone doubts you, they are handing you emotional fuel. It's your job to ignite it. To transform doubt into fuel, you must first understand that people judge you based on their own limitations, not your potential. When someone says something is impossible, they are revealing the boundaries of their own mind. They can't see what you see because they haven't walked your journey, felt your passion, or experienced your vision. Doubt often comes from fear that you'll outgrow them, fear that change will expose their stagnation, fear that your success will highlight their excuses. When you recognize this, you stop taking doubt personally. Instead of feeling attacked, you feel challenged. And challenges are opportunities disguised as obstacles. The second part of turning doubt into fuel is learning emotional control. You must resist the urge to react with anger or frustration. Instead, stay calm, internalize the doubt, and allow it to strengthen your resolve. Emotional control prevents you from wasting energy on arguments or negative conversations. It allows you to redirect that energy into action. Your actions become your voice. Your consistency becomes your argument. Your results become undeniable evidence. You don't need to prove anything to doubters. Just keep building quietly. Let the work speak for you. Every negative comment, every skeptical look, every dismissive remark should become another reason you push forward. Instead of saying, why don't they believe in me? Shift your mindset to, thank you for the motivation. Doubt should harden your mindset, sharpen your focus, and elevate your standards. It teaches you how to operate without applause. When you learn to perform without praise, you become unstoppable. You stop chasing approval and start chasing mastery. And mastery is unquestionable. But the most powerful transformation happens internally. When you use doubt as fuel, you start discovering parts of yourself you never knew existed: patience, courage, discipline, resilience. You begin to see that difficulty does not break you, it reveals you. Your character is tested and refined. Pressure doesn't crush diamonds, it creates them. In the same way, pressure doesn't crush you, it shapes you into something stronger than you were before. Eventually, you reach a point where doubt no longer hurts. Instead, it excites you. You learn to smile when someone says you're not capable because you understand they're giving you another opportunity to rise. The more resistance you face, the stronger you become. While others complain about criticism, you appreciate it because it pushes you further. Remember, rockets don't launch without resistance. You need that push to break through your own limitations. And here's the irony: once you succeed, the same people who doubted you will claim they always knew. But by then, their opinion won't matter, because the journey of turning doubt into fuel changes you. It builds a version of you that doesn't depend on applause, approval, or validation. It creates a person who moves from purpose, not permission. So the next time someone tells you it can't be done, don't argue, don't defend, don't explain. Just smile, walk away, and work. Let their doubt be the wind behind your back. Let it push you further than you ever planned to go. Because when negativity becomes momentum, you stop fearing critics and you start thanking them. When you begin the journey of rebuilding yourself, it's tempting to focus on proving others wrong. You imagine standing on a stage one day with all your doubters watching, finally forced to acknowledge your success. That vision can be motivating in the beginning, but if you stay attached to it, you'll limit your growth. Because when your purpose is rooted in revenge or validation, your power is still in someone else's hands. The truth is, your ultimate growth happens when you stop caring about who doubted you and start caring about who you are becoming. When you rebuild yourself to prove you right, everything changes. The victory becomes internal, not external. You make decisions based on purpose, not ego. You push not for applause, but for alignment. And that shift is what separates temporary success from lasting transformation. The journey inward begins by defining your standards. You must ask yourself, who do I want to be when no one is watching? What values do I stand for? What habits reflect the future I'm trying to create? These questions redirect your focus. Instead of chasing achievements for attention, you chase growth for fulfillment. Instead of hearing the voices around you, you prioritize the voice within you. Internal alignment becomes your compass. You stop chasing external trophies and start building inner strength, character, discipline, integrity. These qualities don't need an audience. They reward you privately in ways no approval ever could. When you shift your motivation inward, you also discover a deeper level of fulfillment. External success feels good for a moment, but it fades quickly. Applause stops. Compliments slow down. The spotlight moves on. But internal success, the quiet pride of knowing you showed up, tried your best, and honored your potential, lasts forever. That feeling doesn't depend on anybody else's validation. It's pure, and it grows the more you invest in yourself. People who chase external validation often burn out, because approval is never enough. There's always someone unimpressed, someone skeptical, someone better. But people who chase self-mastery thrive because the competition is internal and the growth is infinite. This shift also strengthens your resilience. When obstacles come, external motivation crumbles. If you're doing something just to prove someone wrong, what happens when they stop watching? What happens when they no longer care? Your energy collapses. But when your fuel comes from within, you remain unshakable. Hard days don't stop you. Failure becomes feedback. Setbacks sharpen you, not weaken you. You learn patience because you're not racing people. You're evolving yourself. Every challenge becomes another opportunity to live up to your own potential. Another profound effect of this mindset is the peace it brings. Resentment and revenge drain your energy. They keep you tied emotionally to people who never deserve that power. But when you focus on proving yourself right, you let go of negativity. You detach from opinions. You stop replaying old conversations. Instead of looking back at who doubted you, you look forward to who you are becoming. Peace replaces bitterness. Growth replaces comparison. Confidence replaces doubt. That emotional shift allows you to move faster and farther than someone trapped by ego. Eventually, something remarkable happens. You no longer care who notices your growth. You love the process itself. You wake up driven because you love progress, clarity, strength, and purpose. Success becomes a reflection of your internal work, not a reaction to someone else's doubt. And ironically, this is when the world finally takes notice. People will be drawn to your energy, not because you demanded their attention, but because you earned it through authenticity and consistency. When you reach this level, you realize a powerful truth. The person you needed to prove wrong was the old version of you, the one who doubted, procrastinated, feared change. By proving yourself right, you close the gap between who you were and who you're capable of becoming. You unlock a level of self-respect that cannot be measured by applause or opinion. So focus inward. Build quietly. Grow authentically. Let the transformation speak for itself. Because when your goal is to prove yourself right, you become unstoppable. Not for the world, but for the person you were yesterday. And that, more than anything, is where true greatness is born.